Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is FloridaHD and today we are talking Grayzone 0.5. Specifically, we'll be going over what we know and what we don't know and my current thoughts on the state of the game and the direction I think it should go. And if you don't know, I have played Grayzone since 0.1. I come from the land of Tarkov in like 2019, 2020. I play milsims, tactical shooters, extract shooters. This is my realm of gaming. And when Grayzone launched 0.4, we saw a massive surge of returning players because 0.4 was so much different from 0.2 and 3. It was so much more to do. It was a ton of content. The complete gameplay loop of the game changed. So clearly the players are just kind of lying in wait for this game to get better and better over time. But now it's been a couple of months since 0.4 has come out. We've had, I think, about 2, almost 3 months with it, and now we're well on past 0.4 into 0.4, 0.5 something exactly I can't remember the name of. But now we're kind of in a lull waiting for new content, hoping that they tell us more, hoping that they do a ton of things, because 0.4 wasn't perfect, but it was a great addition to the game, and I don't think it was bad at all. But it did introduce new problems of its own, so it has a lot of players kind of questioning what's coming next. Now, full disclosure, I am in Grayzone's creator program. I do work with the dev team to a degree, like I am in contact with them, thoughts, ideas, stuff like that, but I am in no way paid by them, or am I not allowed to, say how I feel about the game, my thoughts, or anything like that. But I just did want to disclose that because I do have a different outlook, a different insight on this game, because unfortunately there are things that I know that I can't talk about right now that I wish I could, because I know a ton of the community is not, I wouldn't say concerned, but they really just want to know what direction this game is going, because everyone loves it so much. So anyways, this past weekend, I actually got to attend GCX Orlando, and members of the Grayzone dev team were there. Specifically, it was the community manager, Devil Dog Gamer, and I got to talk with him for like two plus hours. I mean, I saw him multiple days, but we talked shop in Grayzone for a long time. I had a blast. Dude's literally one of the nicest people ever, and I was able to express problems, concerns, where the game's going, where we think it should go. I was literally even pulling up questions from my Discord, because I was like, hey, what's the biggest thing that you want to see changed in Grayzone? And like he actually wrote it down. Like, they actually care about this game. So I actually am super excited to talk about 0.5 and the things that are coming, and how much better Grayzone is probably going to evolve over time throughout early access. Now, let's go over some of the things Grayzone themselves have said is coming in the new 0.5 release. One of the first ones is crafting, and they specifically said that crafting is going to be different from games like Tarkov. Instead of just crafting gear or items that you need in world, the crafting element will be directly related to the game's story. And they're kind of framing this in the sense that you are a PMC that works for, one of the 3 companies in LeMay. Your PMC faction, or well, I guess all of them, for whatever reason, does not want their PMCs to go into Ground Zero, and that you are going to have to craft specific things to help you on your journey into Ground Zero. And this kind of hints that it may be a expensive task to get into there, and that you may need specific or expensive items to access it. Honestly, if they added in the Tarkov style crafting as well, where you can craft consumables like ammo and medkits, I wouldn't be mad at that either, because that would give a ton of the random items in game an actual use, and I don't think that's a bad thing. And that leads us into the next confirmed thing for 0.5, which is a hideout. Now, with this, I really do not know how they're going to implement a hideout system into Grayzone, especially since the FOBs are kind of a central hub for each faction in LeMay anyways. I don't think the hideout will be a physical place on the map. You may have to go to a physical place to access it, but I think going into it, it will be like an off-map place. Maybe possibly your friends could go there, I think. I feel like that would be a cool idea. That would give it more use, like a hangout spot. I mean, customization and all. I mean, there's so many different things they could do there. But I think that's the route that they're going to end up going with it. And we would assume that the crafting as well would be tied in with the hideout. Maybe you can go in there and craft, since they mentioned that your PMC faction doesn't necessarily like accessing Ground Zero, and you have to craft things on your own. I'm assuming crafting would be done in the hideout then. The next hint that we got about 0.5 was custom servers. In the last video they did about a month ago, I'm pretty sure they were asked directly about custom servers and if we would have access to them, because if you don't know, right now only creators have access to custom servers, and they use them to host events for their communities, which is something that I actually do myself. But it would be nice to see, private custom servers that people can host and have their own Grayzone experiences on. And I believe one of the game designers said that he might know something about that happening in the future, which is awesome. I mean, can you imagine if Grayzone had private custom servers with somehow having like mod support and stuff like that? Like the limits would be endless with what you could do with the way the game is set up right now. So I think that's something that they're probably working on, and we might see in the future. Now, the next thing that I hope gets some changes in 0.5 is PvP. Now, none of this is confirmed. I don't have any information on anything that might be coming with PvP, but I do think it will be tweaked, since we did see some PvP changes, not during 0.4, but soon after, in the smaller patches. After Spearhead, they did change things like the cop timers when it came to capturing cops. There is now a cooldown timer of 30 minutes, which personally I feel like is a bit much. I think it's way too long, honestly. I think it should be somewhere around the realm of like 5, maybe 10 minutes max. I know that they're trying to cut down on the knife runs, because when you die, you can just respawn at the closest cop that your faction owns. And a lot of the times when you die, people respawn at the closest one, they whip out their knife, and then you're constantly running back for your body, and then you have a bunch of bodies with like no gear, because no one wants to take out any good stuff because they're trying to get their last body, and then it just kind of goes over and over and over. So like, I get why they're trying to do that, but at the same time, you need to have a purpose for a cop. If I'm going to attack a cop, I need to know that if the enemy gets it, it's not going to be wasted, and then I can't try again in another 30 minutes. I feel like 5 to 10 minutes is a perfect in between to fix people who like PvP and people who don't like it as much and prefer PvE. That'll give you the chance to run away, disengage, regroup, do whatever you need to do, but then you're not like waiting so long. You're like, well, now what do we do? The next thing I'd like to see in 0.5 would be Ground Zero, or at least something related to Ground Zero. I don't know exactly how it's going to work. I don't think anybody really does. I know it's being worked on, and the lore and all of that is being developed for it. What we do know is that it's not good, right? If your own PMC faction doesn't want us going to Ground Zero, then clearly something very, very wrong is going on inside of there. And honestly, when I was talking to Devil earlier, he mentioned that Mara, the CEO of Madfinger, was a huge Stalker fan, and he really likes the PvE kind of aspect of Stalker. And if you know anything about Stalker, its story is very in-depth, it's very rich, and it is pretty dark. So I don't know if they're going to go like the Anomaly route, like that deep. I think they're kind of, trying to do their own thing. But if we have any of the game's lore to go off of, like stuff from Bon Pa, all the cult stuff that you can find, like it's pretty dark. So whatever is in there is definitely not good. But what we can gather is that Ground Zero is going to be an end game experience, which is great. That's what Grayzone needs. Players need a long-term goal to work towards. And this is going to be combined with the crafting and the hideout and all of this, getting access into Ground Zero. And then there could be another twist on top of it. We don't even know the restrictions of getting in there. There could be something else, some other gameplay mix-up that we don't even know about once you're inside of it. There could be multiple layers. I know a lot of people have a theory that part of it is going to be underground, like tunnel systems, like who knows. But I think it's something that Grayzone needs, and if we saw a piece of it, a part of it in point 0.5, I think that would keep the player base hooked for a much longer period of time, having that end game experience, or at least a little piece of it already there. And with that, that's pretty much all I had to say when it comes to Grayzone 0.5. I am excited for the future and the future updates of this game. I think with each big update, Grayzone is going to be progressively better. After seeing what they did with point 4, after me talking with Madfinger themselves, I really do trust that over time they're really going to develop this game into something really, really cool, and I am excited to see where it goes. And with that, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Please do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see in Grayzone, and let me know what kind of videos you want me to make. I'm thinking about doing some challenge videos and really expanding the Grayzone content. So yeah, I'll catch you guys later.